The leather of my father's Mercedes pressed cold against my back as I waited in the lot outside Lublink, San Francisco's most exclusive dining spot. Through the tinted glass, I watched elegantly dressed patrons glide past the entrance, their diamonds and gold catching the light from the ornate sconces. Just 20 minutes ago, I had walked toward those very doors with my family, dressed in a designer gown worth more than most people's monthly salaries. But that wasn't why I was sitting here, sidelined like a child. "Stay in the car," Dad had snapped, his grip tight on my arm. "We need these investors, Alexandra. Don't mess this up." By mess up, he meant me. Alexandra Mitchell, the prodigal daughter, the so-called black sheep who abandoned the family investment firm to find herself. At least, that was the story they'd sold everyone. My phone buzzed with 3 furious texts from my younger sister, Diana. "How could you humiliate us? The Kingstons are here. Dad's trying to save the firm, and you're being selfish again." I couldn't help but laugh. If they only knew who actually controlled Kingston Enterprises now. 5 years ago, I had walked away from Mitchell Investment Group, refusing to step into the family legacy. Mom had called it a phase. My brother Marcus had sneered. But I had built something entirely my own, a business empire they couldn't even begin to fathom. Another message arrived, this one from my executive assistant. "Kingston Enterprises acquisition papers are ready for signature. Board meets in 30 minutes. Where are you?" I smirked, glancing at my reflection in the rearview mirror. Timing, Dad had always said, was everything. He was about to see just how true that was. I stepped out of the car, smoothing my Chanel dress, and walked toward the restaurant. The maitre d' recognized me immediately. "Miss Mitchell, your usual table." "Not tonight, Pierre. My family is dining with the Kingstons." His eyebrows rose. "Ah, of course. Right this way." As we neared the private dining room, I could hear Dad's familiar smooth pitch. "Kingston Enterprises would greatly benefit from our expertise. Mitchell Investment Group has managed portfolios for 3 generations." I opened the door. The scene froze like a painting. Dad mid-gesture with a wine glass, Mom's perfect smile faltering, Diana and Marcus looking like they'd swallowed lemons, and across the table, Richard Kingston Sr., CEO of Kingston Enterprises, rising with wide eyes. "Madam President," he said, bowing slightly. "I wasn't aware this was your family." The room went silent. "Richard?" I nodded, sliding into the head seat, Dad's usual spot. "Hope I'm not intruding." "Alexandra," Dad said, voice tight. "What am I doing?" I asked smoothly. "Having dinner with my family and meeting with my CEO, apparently." "Your CEO?" Marcus choked. Realization hit Richard. "They don't know." "Know what?" Mom asked sharply. I opened my Hermes bag, pulling out a folder and sliding it across the table to Dad, the acquisition papers for Kingston Enterprises. "All I need is your signature, Richard." "Of course, Madam President." "Stop." Dad slammed his hand down. "What is this?" "This," I said calmly, "is business. Something you taught me well, Dad, just not in the way you imagined." The journey from family disappointment to owner of one of the nation's largest conglomerates had begun the day I left Mitchell Investment Group, but the roots stretched back further, into the shadows of my father's empire. Growing up, the Mitchell name meant power. Dad had turned his father's firm into a financial titan. Dinner conversations revolved around markets, mergers, and millions. My siblings absorbed it all eagerly, ready to inherit the throne. But I saw the future, tech startups, AI, digital currencies, while they clung to the past. Dad dismissed my ideas as frivolous. "The old ways work," he'd say. So I left, taking a smaller inheritance, investing in the future. My first real win came with a small AI firm building algorithmic trading systems. While Dad relied on human analysts, I bet on machines. 2 years later, my returns outperformed his firm by 300%. Yet I remained invisible, operating under AM Holdings. A shadowy force had been quietly snapping up tech companies and reshaping conventional businesses. When Kingston Enterprises announced it was seeking investors, Mitchell Investment Group saw a lifeline to salvage their floundering portfolio. What they didn't realize was that AM Holdings had already secured a controlling stake through a series of precise, incremental purchases over the past year. The paperwork is just formalities, I told my stunned family, sliding the documents across the table. Kingston Enterprises has been mine for months. Today only makes it official. Impossible, Marcus stammered. You don't have the money. You couldn't pull this off. Holdings, Dad whispered, his face paling. Alexandra, all this time, we were competing against you? Not competing, Dad. Winning. Diana sprang up, chair scraping across the floor. This is one of your tricks. You're lying. Richard Kingston Sr. cleared his throat. I assure you she isn't. Under her guidance, the company has tripled in value since she began acquiring shares. Mom's perfect composure faltered. But you've destroyed everything. The firm, our family legacy. No, I corrected her calmly. I've created something far greater. While you were clinging to the past, I invested in the future. I turned to Dad, whose hands trembled as he scanned the acquisition papers. Remember when you said, I'd never understand real business? That internet companies were a childish obsession. He stayed silent, eyes locked on the documents that proved him wrong. Those childish ventures had grown into the nation's largest tech conglomerate. My AI trading systems now handle more money daily than Mitchell Investment Group manages in an entire year. And now, I gestured to the papers, I own the company you were desperately trying to impress tonight. The waiter arrived with champagne. I'd prearranged it, anticipating this moment. As he poured, I watched my family grapple with the new reality. What happens now? Dad asked finally, voice hollow. I lifted my glass, watching the bubbles rise. Now, we discuss the future of Mitchell Investment Group. After all, I smiled, recalling how they dismissed me for years. Family business should stay in the family. The morning after, I sat in my penthouse office atop what had once been Kingston Tower, now the Mitchell Innovation Center. Fog drifted under the Golden Gate Bridge as sunlight glittered off the city below. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing. Dozens of missed calls from family, countless texts, and urgent emails from the board. Wall Street had erupted upon learning that AM Holdings belonged to the wayward Mitchell daughter. Your brother is in the lobby, my AI assistant Arya announced. He demands to see you. Shall I call security? I checked the feed. Marcus looked disheveled, his suit wrinkled, hair messy, a far cry from the polished managing director of Mitchell Investment Group. Let him up, I said. And Arya, pull the latest valuation reports for the firm. Minutes later, Marcus stormed in, clutching a newspaper with a headline, Titan Alexandra Mitchell reveals identity, AM Holdings acquires Kingston Enterprises in historic deal. How long, he demanded, tossing the paper onto my desk. How long have you been plotting this? I gestured to the chair. Sit, Marcus. You look exhausted. Don't patronize me, he snapped, but sank into the seat, running a hand through his messy hair. Dad hasn't slept. The board is in chaos. Clients are calling non-stop. What rumors? I asked. That you plan to dissolve Mitchell Investment Group, that this is revenge. I brought up a holographic display of real-time market data. See these numbers? Your portfolio has been declining for 3 years. Your systems are outdated. Your methods obsolete. We have tradition, he said defensively. Tradition doesn't make money, I countered. While you and Dad clung to old ways, I built an empire using AI, blockchain, and predictive analytics. The world evolved. Your firm didn't. So, you're destroying us. Your own family, he said, standing. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows. Remember when I was 16, presenting my first investment strategy to Dad? Weeks of research, detailed models. You called it my cute little project. Marcus shifted uneasily. We were kids. No, I said firmly. You were the golden child. I was the dreamer. When I suggested modernizing the firm, Dad shut me down. When I warned about algorithmic trading, you all ignored me. I didn't leave to destroy anything. I left to build something greater. My phone buzzed again. Send Diana up as well, I instructed Arya. Diana entered more cautiously than Marcus had, her designer heels echoing on the marble floor. Her eyes widened as she took in the high-tech office, the holographic displays, the panoramic cityscape, the quiet hum of digital systems managing billions. "This is impressive," she admitted, almost whispering. "Sit, Diana. We need to discuss the future of Mitchell Investment Group," I said. She perched beside Marcus on the visitor couch, both of them looking small amidst the gleaming temple of modern finance I'd built. I summoned a new holographic display. "Let me show you what true innovation looks like." Streaming AI-driven market predictions, automated trading algorithms, and real-time analytics filled the air. Billions moved across digital ledgers in real time. My siblings stared, eyes wide. "This," I said softly, "is what I tried to bring to the family firm." The vision Dad rejected. Marcus snapped. "We get it. You're successful. You've proved your point. So what now?" "What I want," I said, "is to save Mitchell Investment Group." They blinked, stunned. "Save it?" Diana echoed. "Yes," I continued, "but only if you're ready to truly change." Before they could respond, Arya announced another visitor. Dad entered slowly, older and humbler than I'd ever seen him, carrying a thick folder, documents I remembered from my childhood. "Your proposals," he said quietly, setting the folder on my desk. "Every modernization plan, every innovation you suggested, I saved them all." "I was wrong," he admitted. "I was so focused on preserving the past that I couldn't see the future right in front of me, and I didn't see what you could achieve." Diana rose. "Dad, what does this mean?" "It means," he said, taking a deep breath, "that Mitchell Investment Group needs Alexandra, not as an adversary, but as its leader." Marcus shot up. "What?" "But I'm managing director. The succession plan." "That plan was flawed," Dad interrupted. "Look at what your sister built while we weren't paying attention. She turned a small trust fund into a tech empire. Meanwhile, our firm is losing clients and falling behind." I darkened the windows with a tap, bringing up a massive display comparing Mitchell Investment Group's declining performance to AM Holdings' meteoric rise over 5 years. "My company achieved in 5 years what your firm couldn't in 3 generations," I explained. "Not because I'm smarter, but because I embraced evolution." "So, what's the plan?" Diana asked softly. "Complete transformation," I said. Mitchell Investment Group becomes a subsidiary of AM Holdings. We integrate AI systems, modernize operations, retrain teams, ourselves included. Marcus muttered. "You're asking us to change." "You can resist and watch the firm crumble," I replied. "Or you can learn. From the ground up. Embrace the technology. Earn your place in this new world." Dad sank into a chair beside me. "You'll take the lead," he said, voice quiet. "I'll serve as chairman emeritus. It's time I let go." He nodded slowly, decades of resistance melting in the face of reality. "One condition," I added. "No hierarchy based on family pride. No dismissing ideas just because they're new. We either build this together or we fail together." A long pause filled the room. The sun rose fully, bathing the city in golden light. Finally, Diana spoke. "Teach me everything. I want to master the systems, the technology." Marcus looked at the displays, then at me. "Me too. I want to understand." Dad walked to the windows, looking out at the city he'd once ruled. "I spent years trying to force you into roles I chose. Alexandra, you were brave enough to refuse and forge your own path." He turned back. "Perhaps it's time we all chart new paths." I pressed a button, bringing up the contracts I'd prepared. "Welcome to the future of Mitchell Innovation Group." One by one they signed, not just documents, but a new beginning. A transformation of both business and family. 6 months later, I watched Marcus present his first AI-driven investment strategy. Diana had mastered blockchain, revolutionizing client relations. Dad, free from control, had become a trusted advisor, his wisdom finally balanced with innovation. The old Mitchell Investment Group sign had been replaced with a sleek new logo, Mitchell Innovation Group, a division of AM Holdings. And the old family dynamics? Transformed too. My phone buzzed. A message from Dad. Family dinner night. Your choice of restaurant. I smiled, remembering Lovelink. I typed back, yes. Everyone has a seat at the table. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't destruction. It's transformation, turning pain into power, creating something better, and bringing others along once you've succeeded. The future belongs to those bold enough to shape it. And finally, my family was ready to join me.